Glenn Boozan. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Jackie.
So I'm really excited about your book. Your book, first of all, it's hilarious. There are moms way worse than you. Irrefutable proof that you are indeed a fantastic parent. Great conversation to have right before we get into Mother's Day. Let me tell my audience a little bit about you. Glenn Boozan is a WGA winning and Emmy nominated comedy writer whose credits include Conan, Comedy Central's Lights Out with David Spade, Sarah Silverman's I Love You, America on Hulu, and TruTV's Adam Ruins Everything. She lives in Los Angeles, a 30-minute drive from her mother, which apparently is still too far. We have to start there. Your mom is in her 60s, so your mom is a grown-ass woman. Like, this is the grown-ass woman's guide. She's probably a grown-ass woman. Tell me why that's still too far.
So my mom is the best, and she jokes all the time. I said, I want to put you in the dedication of the book. And she goes, oh, no, I don't want that kind of attention. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to put you in the author bio. So I got one over on her. And she was always calling me saying, like, no pressure, but I'd love you to visit. And, you know, I'm still your mother, and I know you're a grown woman. I know you're 32, but I would love for you to come and visit. And so she jokes, and she's always sending me like Zillow links to apartments closer to her house. So she's a grown-ass woman, but she's still a mom. Yeah, no pressure.
Totally. And it's so funny because I don't do a lot of parenting content on the show because grown-ass women, like we have so many things happening, but we have to for Mother's Day. So I had to ask about your mom and your relationship with her because I think it's so relatable. And also the fact that you're not a mom and you, at least yet, and you wrote this book about motherhood. Can you talk about the inspiration for that?
Yeah. So my sister is a mom of two, and I love her dearly. And she's a perfect, wonderful mother. She's an excellent, excellent mom. And we were hanging out a while ago, and she expressed that sort of classic parent guilt of like, am I doing an okay job? Am I feeding them the right things? Am I, going to send them to the right schools? Yada, yada. And me as a non-parent and as her sister, I sort of was like, how are you worried about your mothering skills? You're the perfect mom. Your kids love vegetables and reading. Like, how did you make that happen? And so she was like, I've had this guilt and this feeling about I'm a bad mom. And so as a non-parent, I didn't really know what to say. And so I just sort of blurted out. I went, well, Alex, I said, hamster moms eat their babies. So I don't know. You're not that. You're doing okay relative to the situation.
Right. You're better than a hamster.
And she laughed and exactly. So she laughed, and it made her feel a little better. And I went, oh, that's actually, maybe that would be a nice gift for her. So this whole book, funnily enough, started out as a Mother's Day card to my sister that ended up becoming a larger book.
Yeah. And I love the concept. And it just makes me think, because you have this bird's eye view, right? Like you're sort of looking at all these moms from your own other women, grown-ass women, young moms. Do you see like compare your mom's parenting and your sister's parenting? Was there mom guilt and self-doubt and judgment, do you think, happening with your own mom?
100%. My mom, the sort of traditional gender roles were a little swapped. So my dad actually stayed home and was the sort of stay-at-home dad. And my mom was the one who went out and worked. And so she, I think, early on in our life, and then my parents got divorced, and then we moved in with my mom full-time when I was like 10 or 11. But before that time, because my dad was the primary caregiver, she, I think, and has told me since, and I don't remember her being a bad mom. I love my mom. I have only good memories of her being a fantastic mother. But she said to me, she was like, oh, I felt guilty all the time about how much I was working, but we needed money to live. And so I had to work. And my mom was a reporter and now makes documentaries. So she's like super cool, awesome. Working kick-ass sort of mom. So I only have cool memories of her bringing me into the news station and sort of sitting by the desk as a little kid, like swinging my legs, being like, my mom's at work and I get to be with the adults, and her being like, I'm very stressed. I need to edit the story real quick. Just sit here and don't get into trouble.
Right.
But for me, it was a blast.
Yeah. I think the working mom thing, regardless of which generation, like we all feel it. But I wonder how much of you wouldn't be who you are and have your own success if you didn't have such a kick-ass role model.
I think every generation's struggle to like whatever they're trying to normalize or whatever they're trying to impart on I mean, my mom was part of the generation that was like, she remembers the day her mom was able to get a credit card in her own name.
Wow.
So my mom's generation was then like, okay, we're going to work. Like, we're going to go work and we're going to be the sort of like 70s, 80s, 90s, like businesswoman, you know, trope. And that was like her struggle to be like the woman in the workplace, that to get that more normalized. And she had like a tough time, you know, doing that. But now I have grown up seeing that.
Yeah.
And so to me, it now feels normal. So now there's this whole generation of women who are like, why wouldn't we work? That's crazy.
Right.
Like, if we wanted to work, we'll work. If we don't, we don't. I mean, you know, that's our choice now, which I'm so grateful for that. And for
Absolutely. And I think the guilt has shifted a little bit because I think we're there are less of those like quote unquote mommy wars of like stay at home versus working, like that bullshit, you know?
Yeah.
But now I think the expectation that moms can work and can handle everything and then should not have any sort of support or help. Like it's a badge of honor if you could do it all alone, you know?
Right. It's this sort of rugged American individualism that we apply to motherhood that I'm like, at no point in any time in history was this normal to have one person raise one kid all on her own.
Right.
It feels crazy to me. And that's part of why I wrote this book, is because so many things out there that are marketed towards moms are geared towards selling them things that will like make them a better parent, or like, you're like, I'm trying to sell you a book, but most books out there for moms are trying to sell you a book that then makes you want to buy more books, or makes you scared that you're a bad mom, that then makes you buy, you know, the right swaddling blanket or the right crib, or like, if you don't get this certain stroller, your kid's going to explode, or whatever they're trying to tell you.
Exactly.
And I'm not a parent, but seeing that, because I get those ads too, because I'm 32 now. And so they're like, oh, you having kids yet? Are you having kids yet? And so I'm getting these ads for moms. And I'm like, this is so unfair that these moms are made to feel so guilty unless they spend $500 on a stroller.
Yeah.
So that's part of what I wanted to combat with this book, is like making something that was like fighting against this tide of mom guilt that it's just an onslaught every day from so many people. So, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, you're absolutely right that all those books and all those products and are trying to trigger those pain points, right? Trying to trigger the not enoughness, the lack in us, so that it's like, oh, here's my money, so I don't have to feel this way anymore. Instead of realizing that all of this was made up. All of this is
all of it's made up. And you look at other cultures and you go, oh, they don't do this thing that we do, and we do this thing they don't do. And it's like, oh, right, everyone's making it up. Everyone's doing their best.
Yeah.
If you are alive and you are now a mom, you had a mom, no matter how good or bad she was, who did at least a good enough job that now you're a mom. So you're alive and you're still here. So, you know, everyone's doing fine.
Seriously. And just like you said, like, we're not going to remember in the long run, some of the little things, like we may remember it, but our kids won't. So let's talk about the book a little bit, because it's hilarious. So as you mentioned, hamsters eat their young, their newborn pups, and we don't know why. Sexton beetles raise their kids in a decomposing mouse.
They do. Unfortunately.
Who do you think's the worst animal? What are they doing?
Oh man, the worst animal. I mean, this is the funniest to me is there's a lizard called the Lanyu skink, and she will lay a clutch of eggs, and then if she smells a predator, or like if she starts feeling stressed out about being a mom, she'll just eat all the eggs.
Wow.
Just gobble them down like breakfast.
That's one way to deal with it.
Yeah. So she's maybe my favorite, and also one of my favorites, and also the worst.
Yeah. That's wild. And you know, I just can't say enough about the concepts, like the things that we believe, I have 3 teenage boys, but it wasn't that long ago that I had 3 babies, and like the bottle warmers and the wipe warmers and the shit they sold me, you know, to make my kids more comfortable when there are other cultures, like you mentioned, who are, you know, dropping babies and raising them in a village.
Right. And it's like, great. And they turn out fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, maybe I didn't need this 7 white noise machines everywhere I go to make my baby grow up normal. Like it's, but if that also makes you feel like a good parent, then do it.
Yeah. Totally.
The judgment of it is so, man, I want moms, because I have so many around me too, of my friends who are moms and my siblings and stuff like that who are parents. I just want them to have an easier time with it.
Yeah.
Because I think they're doing great. I think everyone's doing a great job.
Right. And so if you could help that, like if you could wave a magic wand, and plus I'm going to send this to you so you can play it back if and when you decide to have children someday. If you could, what is the message you want on this Mother's Day 2022? What's your message to them?
Yeah. I mean, the thing that I find, I'm not a mom again, so I don't have any like sage advice, but the thing that I've found so lovely in seeing how this book has affected people is, my favorite thing is when moms of grown children give the book as a gift to a mom with new kids, with young kids. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like this wonderful passing of the torch of like, hey, sister, welcome to the rodeo. And just the sort of grizzled veteran, like sort of haha, like I've been there, kid attitude, and remembering that like going through something like this, the best things in life, the things in life that are worth pursuing are the toughest, right? There's never been something that wows everybody or is like a life experience where someone was like, yeah, it's so easy. It's like, no, the things we remember are the hard things. And at least from my perspective, motherhood is so cool. It's so cool, and it's complicated, and it's mystical and magical. And maybe remember that. If I had a magic wand, I'd say, remember the magic of motherhood.
Yeah. And it goes by so fast. It's so cliche and stupid, but it's
cliche because it's true.
Exactly. Like my oldest is graduating high school, and you feel like you're going to be in it forever.
Yeah.
And it's an investment, right? And and you're absolutely right in that the hard things, the times where they have to show up and advocate for themselves or speak up or get uncomfortable, those are the ways that we grow, right? It's like going to the gym. Like you lift the weights, they're heavy.
Exactly. The muscle has to break down to then rebuild to be stronger.
Exactly.
And some of the times I feel closest to my mom, just from a daughter's perspective, are like the times when like she yelled at me for like staying out too late, or like, and we laugh about that now. And so like, if you're having those moments right now as a mom, from a daughter's perspective, I was like a little brat growing up, and I had a crazy tough relationship in high school with my mom. But now we're so much closer because of that depth that we reached in tumultuous high school time. And now like she's one of my best friends. Yeah. So it's sometimes the difficult stuff about parenting can be, in a weird way, a gift to your future self. Yeah, absolutely. And I just thank you for writing this, because I think the more we can let people know, like, I know it's comedy. I love comedy. I think that comedy is the best way to learn. I know for myself, the most important, meaningful learning I do came from something that was funny. Agreed. Yeah. It's a good way in. Yeah, totally. And I'm just like, you let your guard down and you will actually allow all the learning to happen. But I think the conversations that it's like, let's stop taking everything so seriously. Let's stop putting these ridiculous expectations on ourselves. Let's let our kids fall down and skin their knee and fail and not email the teacher in high school. Oh, wait, no, that's me. But even that, I have to like resist. Like, let me just talk to them. Like, I don't do it, even though I want to. And this is just a reminder that people have been giving birth to people since the beginning of time. Yep. We don't have to then put them in this like fluffy lined bassinet and carry them through life so that they never feel pain. In fact, those are the ones who grow up to be assholes. So don't do that to your kids. Right. Don't coddle. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So how can we find your book?
So my favorite thing to do is get books at my local independent bookstore. So
Definitely.
shop small if you can. But if that's not available, anywhere books are sold. So barnesandnoble.com or Amazon, or I think Target.com has it. So
Yeah.
you can order it from one of those places as well.
Awesome. I love walking into Target and seeing some of my guests and friends, like their books, sitting there. And I always take pictures and put them on Instagram. Like, you're in Target.
Oh,
like,
that's so fun.
I'm stupid, like always in Target. So
No, are you kidding me? Target's like my church.
yes, they're always open. But thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And the book's amazing. And I wish you all the success with it.
Jackie, thank you so much for having me. This was lovely.
Awesome.